that's the modern way of doing it. The way we did it was very old school, where you mic the drums up. It's one take. Well, it's not one take, but you do it take by take. And the rest of the band is playing with the drummer. We're not necessarily being recorded. Well, we are being recorded, but those aren't
it's a scratch track, and then you go back and the bass will be replayed along with the drum track.
Exactly. But we're playing as a band. The drummer's playing as we're playing with him, and I think it gives it more of a live feel to it.
Definitely.
We wrote and recorded it as a band, and I do feel like the new record really sounds like that. It's much more, as you said, cohesive. It's more organic. It's not disjointed in any way. It's you can listen to it from front to back, and it does sound like, theoretically or imagined that we went into a studio and recorded the whole album in one night.
Yeah. It feels like an album.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of it. I think this album is as good, or at least it stands up with the best stuff that I've done in my career.
Your playing is out of the world on this. You are seriously on top of your game right now. So I'll give you that compliment. The record does grow the more I listen to it. Each time I like it a little bit more, and it's just I love that feeling, like when you listen to it, because then your favorite track will move from one song to another song, and suddenly that'll be the one you look forward to. It's a very fun experience. Well done.
Yeah, I do think it comes across that way, and I've people online that have commented that they listen to it and they're not that thrilled with all of it. It's a different world today. Yeah. Back when I was growing up, I could afford one album a month.
Yeah, me too.
I'd save up my allowance and I could afford one album a month, and that album I would listen, daily, several times a day for the next month. And most of my favorite albums are albums that I didn't like that much initially, but after I listened to it repeatedly, it grew to become my favorite album. And I think that the Patina is like that. I would hope that people would give it several listens before making a judgment call on it. There are songs that are immediately accessible. Havana, I think Bitter.
Yeah.
Those you can listen to, and that is the song. That you're getting exactly what you think you're getting initially. It's like a McDonald's hamburger. Sometimes you just really want a McDonald's hamburger and a Coke and fries. Nothing can beat that sometimes.
Sure.
But I don't want a whole album like that. And I do feel like some of these songs, if given the chance, will prove to be the favorites of people who do give it that chance to listen to it. And I didn't mean for it to be that way in the beginning, but I think that's what it ended up being, and I'm glad about that. Because, like I said, some of my favorite albums didn't strike me as being all that great in the beginning, but and I don't know if we'll even get that chance, really, though, because it's a brand new world. It's so today is so instant gratification, Like, I want to hear something. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. And if you don't like it, it's easily dispensable. I mean, if you don't like something, then you can go on to the next thing.
Yeah, it does suck.
Especially today, And I think a lot of great music might be getting lost because of that. And I don't know.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, the fact that we're not investing in art the way we used to, from any level, The fact you talk about that kind of piecemeal recording, well, you're going to miss out. There's no way you can do the best you can as a group if you never really vibe off each other in the same room. You can do a good record and a good song, but you can never really get that like organic moment where it's like, hey, wait a second, try fucking changing that. You know, it's like, no, here it is. You have to do it the way it is, and then email it back to me. And so I'm sorry. I kind of went on a tangent there. You're absolutely 100% correct.
No, and I agree. And you don't get any mistakes if you record that way, the modern way. Let alone, mistakes are some of the best things, in my mind, that happen in music. Something you weren't expecting, something you didn't mean to do, and that it ends up being the coolest part of the song or the coolest part of the performance. You're missing all of that, and I was going to go somewhere with that. Havana. It's weird because the second solo in Havana, people are they like that one. They said, "Oh, the second solo is great," and a lot of it is because of the one note. I think it's a flatted fifth, but it comes out of a weird run of notes before it, and people are like pointing to that note in there. That was a mistake. That was me in the studio, and I always record the solos in the room with my amps and shit, so you can get going back to the not being so controlled when you. I love the weird feedback. I love how I'll hit a note, and because of where I'm standing against the amp, it'll feed back in a way I wasn't predicting. I love those little magical moments. But that one note in the second solo of Havana is not the note I was shooting for. It was a mistake, and because I grew up in a very jazz environment, it's not a mistake if you do it twice. So I did that twice in the solo, and I remember after I recorded, I came back into the control room where Tyler, Anthony's son, he did the engineering, and I came back in there, and I said, "Was that weird?" And he says, "It was wonderfully weird."
Nice.
So, yeah, the mistakes, the things the magic that happens that you're not planning on, that's so much a part of the art of music, and it's getting a little lost. And autotune is one of the big culprits as far as
for sure.
We didn't do any of that on Patina. There's no auto-tuning. There's no beat detective. There's nothing that's fixed. Either you play it right, or you go back and do it again, or you change a part. It's all very honest on Patina, and auto-tune in particular. I hate it. I don't see where any good has come from that. In fact, on the first Red Dragon Cartel record, I was listening back. I was there when Sass sang "Redeem Me."
Yep.
And I was just thrilled. I was like, "Fuck, she nailed it. This is awesome." I came back the next day, and the man who shall remain nameless was playing the song, and I'm listening to it, and I said, "What the fuck happened to the vocal?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's not. It doesn't sound right." And he said, "Well, I'm just fixing it with auto-tune." And I said, "Well, you're fucking ruining it." And I didn't know he was auto-tuning it. All I knew is all of a sudden what was an inspired and soulful performance became bland, and it's.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm a big fan of using that term when I like something that it sounds inspired.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being flat if that's a part of your performance. If it's a flat note, if you're shooting for a note and you hit it a little flat and then you slowly bring it up to the right pitch, that my friend is soul. That's blues. That's fucking passion in music. That's part of the art of singing is being flat, maybe being sharp, and then bringing it back to where it belongs. that is part of the art of singing. And then when you auto-tune it, you ruin it. You ruin it. So I had him bring it back to the original vocals that Sass did, and it sounded so much better. And fuck auto-tune. That's what I'm basically saying.
Right on. You have Phil Varone in the band. I'm curious, have you seen the documentary they made on him?
No, I'm afraid to.
I have. It's very well done.
Is it?
Yeah.
Am I gonna want to be on a bus with him after I watch it?
Yeah, you'll probably be okay. I mean, maybe not if you watch some of his other movies.
I've heard about those too. That's the last thing I want to know about him.
We're getting a little blue here. Doesn't he have like a ladies' pleasure thing based on his own manhood?
I have heard such things, yes.
Well, Christmas is coming up. Do you think you'll find one in your stocking?
Oh, God, I hope not. I haven't read his book. I haven't seen the documentary. I haven't watched any of his porn. I'm trying to pretend like that
He's
he
a
never
good drummer.
did any of that. He's a good drummer. Yeah. I know that much, and I haven't spent a lot of time with him. But the time I have spent with him, I like him. He's a fun guy, and I'm just going to try to close my eyes to all that other stuff.
You're safe with the documentary. I think it's a good watch. It's nothing like the second half of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. I got a lot of shit on Netflix that's waiting for me to watch, so I kind of doubt if I'll watch the Phil Varone documentary.
Well, fair enough. Red Cartel tour dates were announced recently. Hopefully, there's more to come because right now there's nothing coming through my neck of the woods. Do you plan on? I know it's pretty solid stretch you're doing though, about 2 months, right?
I think it's more like 5 weeks, isn't it?
Is it the end of February into the beginning of April or something?
Yeah. Okay. My wife says 6 weeks.
Okay.
I think it's a 6-week U.S. run. Then we go to Japan. We had actually booked Japan first. So we did a U.S. run leading up to it. I've seen online that a lot of people are pissed off that we've completely missed the Northwest and the Southeast. But I think, that's just the way touring goes. That's basically a swath from L.A. up into Maine. And I'm sure that after we do Japan, and we're trying to book Europe after that so that we don't have to fly back all the way to the U.S. and then go back to Europe. We're trying to do Europe after that. But after that, oh, come on, quit saying after that.
After that.
Then we will, I assume, probably do another, probably crisscross the United States where we do hit Florida and do Seattle and Portland and if we have to, parts of Canada.
You have to, and I thought you were going to say Minnesota. That's where I'm at. I was like, and if I have to, I'll. Anyway.
Minnesota. Oh.
Yeah, you play here in February.
Minnesota in February. No. What's it like there in the summer? Is it?
Oh, honest to God, the summers are amazing. The winters suck, but the summers are definitely the peak time of year to be a Minnesotan, don't you know?
Yeah, I believe that, and I'm sure it's 20 times better than summer in Las Vegas, where I live.
Oh boy, yeah, I've only been in Vegas on summer once, and it was last summer, and my Lord, the one day I was there for a friend's wedding, in and out. It was just, you did not want to step outside.
It's brutal. It's brutal for months. I mean, and the summer seemed to be getting longer and longer. But yeah, I mean, I remember they called it the century days, of where you have over 100 days of over 100 degrees, and it's not like it cools off a lot at night either.
Yeah.
And it can be brutal, but I think it It makes you more manly.
All right. Well, we think that about the cold in the winter here. So
I was thinking that's probably even more manly. So.
Well, they both suck. Let's just agree on that. Hey, when you tour, do you like mix up the set list? Do you kind of change it as you go, or do you kind of ride with one thing for a stretch?
A